Now onto the header and footer. At the moment we have our HTML code from the Bootstrap template. This is fine for static websites, but we want to hand over control to WordPress. I'm going to begin by going over to our HTML and then passing over control to WordPress by adding in some PHP tags to make use of the built-in WordPress functions. Starting with the header.php. Let's open this file and then go up to the very top. We can add a PHP comment. So open up the PHP, close this off, which is just like this. The comment will simply be the header for our theme. Since WordPress is built in the PHP programming language, we need to add any of our built-in WordPress functions also between these PHP tags. We can open and close these tags anywhere in our HTML we like. So for example, we're going to replace the language attribute. Let's delete this from the opening HTML tag, open up the PHP, close this off, and then we can add a WordPress function called the language attributes, followed by the brackets, and then the semicolon. These PHP brackets, when used inside of the HTML, will signal the start of HTML code, and then we close this off, and then the file will return to regular HTML. So language attributes is a WordPress function used to set the language of the page. But how does WordPress know which language we want to use? Let's go over to the browser and take a look. So let's reload this, right click and then view page source. If we look up at the top for the opening HTML element, we'll see we have the language attribute set to English US. Yours may be different for your install, but we can see that this is not what we set over in our file. We don't see any of this PHP code which were added in. Instead, we see the actual language which we are using. This is because PHP is rendered on the server, so when we get this page back and open it up in the browser, we don't actually see the PHP code. We in fact see the HTML, which it generates in its place. This language is set in the WordPress dashboard. So if we open up Flywheel, click on Admin, then go down to Settings and General, we have the site language, which we have set just here. If you want to know more about any of the WordPress functions which we cover, you can visit the codex.wordpress.org and search for the function name to find out some more information. Next, we're going to set the character set. So back in our header, and for the meta character set, we can remove our hard-coded version of UTF-8. Still inside of these quotations, we can open up the PHP tags, close these off, and then inside add a WordPress function called blog info. The blog info we want to set is the character set, which is set just like this. The default encoding in WordPress is UTF-8, so this is what will be displayed. We can also reload the browser source just to double check this. And there we go. This is set to the default UTF-8. Next up, we have the site title, which I'm going to remove. So scroll down, we have the title just on here. We can completely remove or comment this out. This is because in the functions.php, which we added recently, we set the theme support for the title tag. And in doing this, this theme support allows WordPress to safely manage the page title for us, and also declares we're not using a hard-coded title for our theme. Back over to our header.php, we can use a PHP function called wp-head. So wp_head. This will tell WordPress exactly where we want to add the auto-generated info. The location of this is important as this is used to inject or pull in things such as our CSS files, any scripts, and they're going to be inserted here exactly where we've added this. We will also take a look at how WordPress handles our CSS and our scripts in just a moment, but first we're going to move down to the body class. Let's add this inside the opening body tag. We jump into PHP, close this off, and then add a WordPress function called body_class. Semicolon at the end, and on this one too. Still making sure to close off the HTML tag right at the very end. By adding this body class to the body section, this allows WordPress to add any CSS classes which is required, just in the same way as we would in regular HTML by adding the class attribute. But now instead, this is under the control of WordPress. If we save this and then reload section. If we scroll up, we have all of this code which is on here, and also all the links down below. These have all been added in automatically by WordPress. These are all styles and scripts which WordPress has added since we included the WP head function. So this is just below our custom CSS. So if we look for our custom CSS here, this is all of the WP head content added just below. We also have our site title, which is automatically been added, even though we removed the hard-coded page title. The final change to the header I want to make in this video is the site title at the very top. If we go over to our project, this is the site title which we have in the link. Currently this is hard-coded and WordPress has no control over this. So let's go ahead and change this now. To hand over control to WordPress, we use get blog info, passing in the name. If we scroll down to our nav, we have the site title inside the A element. Page from WordPress, and we pass this in to escape URL to remove or clean up any unnecessary characters, such as any ampersands, percent symbols, or generally any character which is not needed. Save this and now just double check everything is still working by clicking on Tranquil Spa, and we're back to the home page. There is a small change to make to the footer too. If we open up the footer.php, scroll down to the bottom of the file, just above the closing body tag, we need to add a WordPress function called WP footer. So WP underscore footer, open up the bracket, the semicolon. This is a little bit like the WP head, which we added in the header section. Just here. It will be used by WordPress to inject any scripts which we may add, and adding the WP footer therefore tells WordPress where to put these scripts. We also need a PHP comment up at the top of the file. So just before the footer, open and close the PHP. And this is going to be the template for displaying our footer. And give this file a save. We will come back to the footer at a later stage when we look at adding things such as custom menus. But for now, this is the header and footer now changed to be more dynamic and also be linked more deeply into WordPress.